In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Gospel of John. And now, I would like to read excerpts from the book Leaves of Gold, which is filled with words from God, about God, and for God and His people. Stories, sayings, phrases, and tales compiled by its editors to offer spiritual comfort, hope, and morality in a world rapidly losing its way. Please do pardon my accent in some pronunciations. Thank you. Leaves of Gold. Forward. Poor indeed is the man whose mind is not enriched by some phrase of lasting truth and beauty which serves to restore his soul in the exigencies of life. Each of us needs in his heart's treasury the memory of a lovely line to renew fellowship with the great and noble of this earth. And, indeed, almost as great as the ability to write a line of strength is the ability to use that line to higher levels of emotion and achievement. To discover afresh in truth expressed with elemental force our eternal kinship with God is a universal urge. Leaves of Gold had its origin in the recognition of this impulse. From those who spoke with authority have been chosen words in which the word becomes flesh to dwell among us. Here are maxims, phrases, anecdotes, passages, proverbs, and essays from the best minds among men. Here are words of wisdom and thoughts of comfort for all mankind. Consolation is the objective of Leaves of Gold, to provide a key to things of the Spirit as inspiration for daily living its design. Read the word of a rascal. Make yourself an honest man, and then you may be sure that there is one rascal less in the world. Caril. Critics. How humiliating it is to find that I am pained when I learn that N or M does not like my preaching. Yet I am so calmed when all the alphabet for years rejected my master's message. J. W. Alexander. Criticism. Of course, there are some folks who do not seem to be able to cooperate. Their lone sweet is criticism, destructive and not constructive criticism at that. To such I would quote the words of Edmund Burke. Applaud us when we run, counsel us when we fall, cheer us when we recover, but for God's sake, let us pass on. From a full heart. Never let the seeming worthlessness of sympathy make you keep back that sympathy of which, when men are suffering around you, your heart is full. Go and give it without asking yourself whether it is worthwhile to give it. It is too sacred a thing for you to tell what it is worth. God, from whom it comes, sends it through you to his needy child. Phillips Brooks. Charted. It is not darkness you are going to, for God is light. It is not lonely, for Christ is with you. It is not an unknown country, for Christ is there. Charles Kingsley. Dissolved. In the laboratory of Faraday, a workman one day knocked into a jar of acid a silver cup. It disappeared, was eaten by the acid, and could not be found. The question came up as to whether it could ever be found. The great chemist came in and put certain chemicals into the jar, and every particle of the silver was precipitated to the bottom. The mass was then sent to a silversmith, and the cup was restored. So a precious soul who has fallen into the sink of iniquity, lust, dissolved in sin, can only be restored by the great chemist, Jesus only. S.S. Times. Benevolence. He that lays out for God, God lays up for him. But, alas, God's credit runs low in the world. Few care to trust him. Give and spend, and be sure that God will send, for only in giving and spending do you fulfill the object of his sending. J.G. Holland. Peppers. If you have knowledge, let others light their candles at it. Self-sacrifice. Shortly after the death of Phillips Brooks, his oldest brother said to Dr. McVicker, Phillips might have saved himself and so prolonged his life. Others do, but he was always giving himself to any who wanted him. Dr. McVicker answered, yes, indeed, he might have saved himself, but in so doing, he would not have been Phillips Brooks. The glory of his life was that he did not save himself. The glory of any life is that it does not save itself. Like Mary, Bishop Brooks gave the best he had to God and humanity, and that is why the fragrance of his life is filled 2 continents with its sweetness. Tidings. Influence. Every human being has influence. It is inseparable from existence. Its effects are as penetrating as ornament. Its presence is as manifest in every life as the leaven that swells the meal. Each moral action and utterance is linked to a chain of sequences no mortal can foretell. Each is a vast, whispering gallery where words and actions live on and ring on forever. Scientists tell us that the words spoken by Abraham and Elijah are still influencing the air, that the atmosphere is a mighty library on whose pages human actions and utterances have all been impressed. Influence is born with us like fire in the flint. It walks with us, flashes from the eyes, and radiates from us like light from the sun. Influence is posthumous, and of an evil man like the fallen Abel, it may be said, he being dead yet speaketh. Morgan.